Dealing with files. A website consists of many files: text content, code, style sheets, media content, and so on. When you're dealing, when you're building a website, you need to assemble these files into a sensible structure on your local computer. Make sure they can talk to one another and get all your content looking right before you eventually upload them to a server. Dealing with files discusses some issues you should be aware of so you can get set up so you can set up a sensible file structure for your website. Where should your website live on your computer? When you are working on a website locally on your computer, you should keep all your all your related files in a single folder that mirrors the published website's file structure on the server. This folder can live anywhere you like, but if you should put it somewhere where you can easily find it, maybe on your desktop, or you should put it on your desktop, in your home folder or at the root of your hard drive. Number one, choose a place to store your website project. Inside your chosen place, create a new folder called web projects or similar. This is where all your website projects will live. Okay. Inside this folder, so that's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to go to our desktop, close all these, minimize all these. I'll just show you guys how to do this. And we're going to create new folder. We'll call it web projects. Inside this first folder, create another folder to store your first website in it. Call it test site or something more imaginative. All right. And inside an aside on caching, on casing, and spacing. You'll notice that throughout this article, we ask you to name folders and files completely in lowercase with no spaces. This is because many computers, particularly web servers, are case sensitive. So, for example, if you put an image on your site, on your website, so for example, if you put an image on your website at test-site slash myimage.jpg, then with a cap, then in a different file, you try to invoke the image as test site myimage.jpg, it may not work. And as you see, the my image, they're spelled differently. Number two, browsers, web servers, and programming languages do not handle spaces consistently. For example, if you use spaces in your file name, some systems may treat the file name as two file names. Some servers will replace the areas in your file names with %20, the character code for spaces and URIs, resulting in all your links being broken. It's better to separate words and dashes rather than underscores. For example, my file, my dash file .html versus my underscore file .html. The short answer is that you should use a hyphen for your file names. The Google search engine treats a hyphen as a word separator, but does not regard an underscore that way. For these reasons, it is best to get into the habit of writing your folder and file names lowercase with no spaces and with words separated by dashes, at least until you know what you're doing. That way you'll bump into fewer problems later down the road. What structure should your website have? Now let's look at what structure our test site should have. The most common things we'll have on any website project we create are an index HTML file and folders to contain images, style files, and script files. Let's create these now. So let me check my folder. Actually, what I'm going to do is open up a new window. I'm going to open folder, and where it said where I had made data and web projects test site. So what we're gonna do is go to test site, select that. Close this out and folder, I'm gonna call it index.html. Okay, we got that out the way. Next, we need an images folder. So we're gonna go down here. Actually, I'm gonna just right click my test site and just create a new folder. Call it images. I'm gonna create a styles folder. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna create a scripts folder. All right, so it says, what should your structure, so we read that. So it says, let's create. So number one, index.html. This file will generally contain your homepage content. That is the text and images that people see when they first go to your site. Using your text editor, create a new file called index.html and save it just inside your test site folder. Number two, images folder. This will contain all the images that you use on your site. Create a folder called images inside your test site folder. Number three, styles folder. This folder will contain the CSS code used to style your content. For example, setting text and background colors. Create a folder called styles inside your test sites folder. Scripts, number four, scripts folder. This folder will contain all the JavaScript code used to add interactive functionality to your site. For example, buttons that load data when clicked. Create a folder called scripts inside your test site folder. Note, on Windows computers, you might have trouble seeing the file names because Windows has an option called hide file extensions for known file types. Turned off by default. Generally, you can take this off by going to the Windows Explorer, selecting the folder options option, unchecking hide extensions for known files checkbox, then clicking OK. For more specific information covering your version of Windows, you can search on the web. File paths. To let me clarify on this. I've already done that note, so if you haven't done it yet, I suggest you do it. File paths. To make files talk to one another, you have to provide a file path between them, basically a route. So one file knows another one, knows where another one is. To demonstrate this, we will insert a little bit of HTML into our index.html file and make it display the image you chose in the article. What will your website look like? All right, so we're going to copy the image we chose earlier into our image folders. So I actually have the image right here, so I'm going to copy it right here into my image folder over here. Take the styles folder out of here. All right, so that's in there. Copy the image you chose earlier into your images folder. Open up your index.html file and insert the following code directly. Let me copy this right quick. Exactly as shown. Don't worry about what it all means for now. We'll look at the structures in more detail later in the series. All right, so I'm gonna open up my index, copy this in there. Line image source. Oh, my test image is the HTML code that inserts an image into the page. We need to tell the HTML where the image is. The image is inside the images directory, which is the same directory as index.html. To walk down the structure from index.html to our image, the file path we need is images, your image. For example, our image is Firefox-icon.png, so the file path is images/Firefox-icon.png. Number 4. So insert the file path into your HTML code between the double quote marks of the source code. So I know the name of my image. I saved my image as fire. So I'm gonna go here and actually it's bonfire.png, and it's in the images folder. So I'm gonna do I believe what they said was /. Oh, there's no /. So it's images / bonfire.png. Click save. So we inserted the file path between the double quote marks at the source, save the HTML file, then load it to your web browser. All right, so let's take a look at this in the web browser. Open this in Explorer. Open it up in the browser. There's my image. Fire. Bonfire. Okay. You should see the new web page displaying your image. Yep. Some general rules for the file paths. To link to a target file in the same directory as the invoking HTML file, just use the file name. For example, my image, my-image.jpg. To reference a file in a subdirectory, write the subdirectory name in front of the path plus a /. For example, subdirectory / my image or my-image.jpg. To link to a target file in the directory above the invoking HTML, write 2 dots. So, for example, if index.html was inside a subfolder of test site and my image JPEG was inside test site, you could reference my image.jpg from index.html using dot / my image.jpg. For now, this is about all you need to know. Note, Windows file system tends to use backslashes, not /. For example, C colon / Windows. This doesn't matter in HTML. Even if you are developing your website on Windows, you should still use / in your code. What else should be done? This is about all for now. Your folder structure should look something like this. All right, so next we'll be moving on to HTML basics.